Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio and we speak with Mr. Dave Elliot, and he is the PRO of the TBRCEL, and we're talking about Remembrance Day Parade here in Tobago. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning and thank you for being here. I think TB, that acronym that you mentioned, it stands for the Tobago branch of the Royal Ex-Services League.
Right, so I was going to get to that because I wanted to ensure that persons know what the TBRCEL stands for and what the organization is responsible for. So we could start with that before we head on into the Remembrance Day activities.
Well, the organization was started by Mr. Edwin George a while back. I think it started because of the need to honor and pay attention to, give homage, some people say, to the veterans, those persons that would have served during World Wars, well, 1 and 2, but more likely 2. People from World War I would have died long ago, died in 1918. You know, the World War II was in 1939 to 1945, I think it was, right? So it was started then to pay homage to these persons because, you know, soldiers, not only soldiers, but those who would have served, like we say, people served, horses served, dogs also served, to everybody who would have served during that period. So we are commonly known as the Veterans Association here in Tobago.
Right, and how active is the association? Because I know we're preparing for Remembrance Day, but you know, sometimes we take a lot of things for granted. You're talking about persons who fought, and I didn't just get up and decide, I'm gonna fight. There was a reason, there was a cause, and they came forward for the cause to fight. And so, of course, we're giving them their flowers. Some of them have passed on, some of them are still around, I believe. Some of them still around, or
in Tobago right now, we have one person remaining. One person that we know of, yes.
Right,
absolutely.
You know, so in terms of throughout the year, how active is the organization in terms of ensuring that, one, awareness is there for the general public, and also for, you know, lending that support for the one remaining veteran and probably the family members and the persons, the community around that person?
Yes, that is correct. We have been, this past year, we have been very active. We also partner with, from time to time, with the association in Trinidad. We have exchanges. We go down, visit them. They came to visit us. This year we had just under 70 persons from Canada. They visited us on one of the cruise ships. We did an island tour. They visited our cenotaph here in Scarborough. So we have been doing stuff with them. And we also our membership drive continues throughout the year as well. We have regular meetings with members, and most of the members presently are family members, whether it's children. We have one wife of an ex-soldier, and grandchildren, and persons who were generally, you know, up for the cause and realize what the league is all about. And like you said, why? You know, persons would have gone to fight or would have participated in the war around that time, because in some cases, some people they felt the need to be a part of it. You know, I mean, and at that time, in Trinidad and Tobago was still under British rule, and persons were encouraged, and some people went. We have the father of our current president. He went to Egypt. He served in Egypt. We have some persons served in Trinidad, some went to Guyana and Trinidad. You know, so persons did contribute towards the war effort here in Trinidad and Tobago as well.
And you know, some of the youngins, you know, the generations after us, that is, not aware of the things that build communities and build societies and the shoulders that we stand on to kind of enjoy what we enjoy here And I think it is very important as you're doing a membership drive to get younger people involved, get them in the know, provide the education for them so that they're in a place where they can make sensible decisions. Because you're seeing how society is these days, you see the measure of influence. So I'm hoping that the drive will attract the type of people that we want, not just primarily, yes, for this cause, but also to widen the way they think, the way they see things, the way they approach situations based on the society that we're living in. So I'm hoping that that can happen.
Well, it does, huh? When you see the puppy that we actually wear, and that is the stimulus for most of that. When we go to the schools, we have a puppy drive. Incidentally, the Memorial Day, or what we call our Mistress Day, or Remembrance Day, is held in early November. So you find that in October, on the build up towards November, we have the drive. And persons ask, why you wear the puppy? What is the puppy about? And that is where our entire conversation begins. You know, why we wear it, what it means, what it stands for. And that is where we're able to let persons know, hey, just like you said, the freedoms we have today is because persons would have served, persons would have gone and protected our rights and protected our freedoms. So now we're able to walk down the road singing we hand, with a beer in my hand, doing what we want, do it how we want it. And at one time, Trinidad and Tobago was deemed the most happiest island in the world, or the Caribbean, something like that. So, I mean, and this would have been because of the freedoms that we enjoy, and that would have been brought upon because of persons going and defending our freedoms. So this is what we actually help to by wearing the puppy. It is in remembrance of those who would have served.
And you know, on the topic of the puppy, why the puppy? How did they come to, we're going to use a puppy?
Well, during World War One, on one of the fields, it's called Flanders Field. Back in the day, it wasn't no set of tanks and bombs and things. It was more hand-to-hand kind of combat. And, you know, after, let's say, a couple of hundred people would have marched through a field, right? And there was some battle taken there, but it took place there, and it's called Flanders Field. And persons would have died and that kind of thing in the area. And a few days after, the entire area, rain fell, and the entire area, poppies just grew. And there was this one particular doctor, he just found it remarkable, and I think that poppy was used up to today. Poppy is used in various formats. Some of the paper poppy, the metal ones, the plastic ones, but as a symbol in remembrance of those who would have, you know, they died, they served. And we don't say those would have died, because some people served, some people still alive, some people serve in different formats. So we say those who would have served during that time. So that is the reason we wear the poppy.
Wow, you know, it really is good to put context to things so that you know what you're participating in. And so we're talking about Remembrance Day today. Let's talk about the parade and what to expect in terms of the route, where people can line up to see what is happening, where we can cheer the persons participating in the parade on and stuff like that. So let's talk about the actual day for the parade.
Well, Remembrance Day is traditionally held on, they say 11/11/11, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The parade takes place this year on the 10th of November. It's the closest Sunday to the 11th. It is one of the shortest military parades that we have. It starts in front of the fire station, and they march around the cenotaph at James Park in Scarborough. It's a standing parade because it's very short, but it's a ceremonial. It's intense. It's a very ceremonial parade where we have the persons who would have participated in the wars, and we have from Girl Guides, Pathfinders, the cadets, the arms of the Defense Force, like the regiment, the Coast Guard, the Air Guard, Fire Service, the Police Service, the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, and those persons will be participating in the parade. I think one of the highlights is to see the sentries and the cenotaph, where they actually go to sleep. After a bugle and a cannon, they go in what is called the Western Arms Reverse, and the sentries go in this position where the heads bowed with the rifles, and they're in that position until the end of the parade. So it's a very intense parade. And then we have the laying of wreaths by the different detachments who would have served. starting with the chief secretary, the CDS representative, and you come all the way down. It starts at 10. The area that will be cordoned off will be the, let's say, Burnett Street. The Burnett Street Gardenside car park will not be able to be used. That's where the munitions will be, the explosions will be taking place. And there's private parking, restricted parking in Republic Bank car park.
Okay.
So pretty much, generally, most of Uptown will be kind of cordoned off. After the parade passes by, there may be access to Main Street, where you might be able to go. But before the parade, because the parade comes across that street, there would be limited access. But after the parade starts, then the parade, traffic might be able to continue to pass until afterwards again. So basically, Uptown on Sunday morning will be touch and go.
And you know, you're talking there about the parade and the intensity of the parade, and I'm sitting here and I'm feeling the intensity of it. And I can feel emotions rising from you as you were talking there. And you almost got something out of me there, you know.
Well, I could feel that because I too was a sentry on the cenotaph. And it's where it's what we do what's called ceremonial drill. So you are there in a very reverent, I mean, you have to make sure I eat on that morning because you can't move, right? And you have to be solid. Most of the parade, it's the longest, what we call present arms that you hold. And you hold that and stay in that position until the 3 cannons are sounded. But we don't have cannons, so we have explosions. And it's an entire period of almost reverence and silence almost.
And what is the period? What is the length of time for this?
It's about 2 to 3 minutes. Right? It's a long 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would expect that it is, especially standing there in silence.
Yes.
And all you have are your thoughts.
Yes. And it's really done so you could at least ponder, think about, you know, how your freedoms have been acquired. And when you get a chance, people could simply walk up to the cenotaph. It's always there. James Park is open. You could take a look at the names on the cenotaph, and you could see the person. You might be surprised. You might see somebody that you know, right? Some persons who would have, in some cases, they went away, and some people would have died. Some persons would have come back here, and I happen to have a great uncle who served. And you think about what these persons did. I mean, the person we have alive, Mr. Iman Legol, he's from Lekoto. What's amazing is that most of these persons have been around for the longest while. And it's only recently, you know, we've been really unearthing them, if you want to call it that. And his story is remarkable. I mean, he would tell you, he said he heard about the war and he decided he wanted to fight. So, but his parents didn't want him to go. His parents didn't want, so he told his father he was going to Trinidad to see his brother. And he ran away. He went to Guyana and he trained. But when they was getting ready to ship him off to England, that's when the war ended. But his stories of during his training and how he and somebody in the barracks fight and he got a bust head with a piece of wood and all this kind of thing, you know, it's interesting. We also had Miss Lucille Dennis Cook. She was the last female. Incidentally, she's been honored at an armistice dinner in Trinidad. And when we discovered her, I knew this lady for so long, but nobody knew she was a soldier. She never really said anything until we visited her home. You know, we visited the shut-ins and stuff like that. And we was like, Miss Cook, what is this pictures you have in this uniform? She was in the army. You said, what, Salvation Army? She said, no, she was a soldier. I said, what do you mean a soldier? And then we realized that she has pictures of her marching and in the military uniform. In those times, it was called she was part of what's called the ATS, the Auxiliary Territorial Service. So the British Army has, it's like how you have auxiliary firemen or auxiliary police. They were like auxiliary soldiers in this part of the Caribbean, but you have ATS members around the world. And she served, and then she was a nurse. She went to England, and then she came back. So just to verify, you know, we got access to the British War Archives. We pay money to get access to the British War Archives, and the same photos she has in her house,
they have them there.
They have them in the archives. and they see this little ladies from Tobago, from Patience in Tobago, you know, and she's there in her uniform, and it's like, wow. And she has a lot of stuff that I think even some museums would like to have. She has the little booklet that you are issued as a soldier with your regimental number and your name, your rank, where you're from, and your will. There's a little will inside the book as well. But it's pretty, you have to take your time and open this, it's fall apart. And some people have the British War Medal as well too, you know. So these are some of the things that we bring to bear, and we are part of our drive as well. We're looking to get a home where we can put these things on display so people could actually come and see them and realize that, hey, we have Tobagoans that really were part of the bigger picture in World War II.
What would be even greater, I mean, for me, is to have an evening with these people, to hear their stories in real time, you know, to sit down and ask the questions and be engaged by their stories. I know they might be a little bit up in age, but I feel as if they'll be proud to tell their stories, and there'll be a lot of people who would be very eager to actually question them and to be in their presence and to get the meat of the story as the, you know, like a fly on the wall, you know, and I'm hoping that we can arrange to have something like that happening in the not too distant future, where we could spend some time with them getting their stories.
Well, hopefully we will have hopefully Mr. Legor could come to the parade this year. He's been there off and on from time to time. Previously, he always would fly out. I mean, this man, he has one of the biggest harvests in Lekoto. And you should see this man dance, you know. But hopefully you'll be here this year, that you'll be able to, you know, maybe set up an interview or meeting, something that you could record so that you could actually show to younger persons about the contribution to your country. It's not about me, you know, you only do this for your country. I mean, even recently in the war in Ukraine, I know people came back home to fight. I remember recently when there was this whole Venezuela Essequibo thing in Guyana, there were persons from Guyanese nationals that live in the US. They want to go back home because they want to protect what they know to be theirs, you know. So similarly, I think people have this pride about, you know, protecting what is theirs and proud to be where you're from and have that pride in your country.
Well, we'll speak with the powers that be and ensure we have that kind of conversation, that recording, so we can, you know, preserve that information for generations to come.
Yes, indeed.
And so, of course, we wish you the best with the Remembrance Day Parade. And we want to call out the Tobago public that you should come out in support of what is happening there this Sunday. You know, just be there in the presence of silence as we honor the things that built us, you know, and I have to be there, you know, I have to be there, you know, I have to find a way to be there. I have other commitments, but I think it's something that we should honor, and I want to invite on your behalf all of Tobago to come out this Sunday to see what is happening there at the James Park.
Also, I want to mention that we want to say thanks to the Assembly Legislature. Every year they partner with the League to put on this event, as well as we have a luncheon where we honor most of the families and some of the ex-soldiers and some of the retired soldiers as well at the Assembly Legislature. This happens after the parade. But it's not open for the public. But, you know, we can't feed all on sundry. But, you know, and this is where we pay tributes and give some small speeches and say thanks. And it's more about service. So at this time, during this luncheon, we have the senior members of the different detachments. They're the ones that actually do the serving of the meals, you know. So it's not about go down, we'll make them and eat some food. You know, it's more about service, and we could actually participate and be of service to other people and honor the moment, the day, and have a lunch in remembrance of those who serve.
And this is something that we need to take into our general society, how to serve.
Yes.
Service to others.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So, you know, this Sunday it's happening there at the James Park area. So come on out and show that measure of support. Have that experience if you've never had it before in person, and hear the explosions, and just be appreciative of the things that happened before that got you to where you are today. So just remember that Sunday also that area will be cordoned off. There will be no access to traffic. So you have to find alternative routes for parking, and you can make a little walk up the hill, man, you know, walk up or walk down depending on where you're coming from, and just enjoy the morning there with them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations here in studio. And as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.